Good afternoon. It's once again 5:30 on a Friday. It's a little more than 5:30. The traffic was a little challenging to get here, although we left 30 minutes ago. But sometimes that happens. But we are delighted, as a matter of fact, to be here. A lot of good things are going on in our country. A lot of good things are happening. And I think one of the best things that I've heard up to this point this week is that it looks as though we have reached a little bit of an agreement that we're going to reopen the government. It appears that way. The president is in agreement with a proposal that was really put on the table some time ago that could have been done. And we could have avoided some of the trauma and difficulty that people, 800,000 of them, all over the country who have been experiencing all kinds of anxiety and frustration. An economy that has been without resources moving back and forth and flowing. All of that is necessary. But then there have been some good things in terms of people feeding laid off workers. The governor of Illinois, I must give him credit, came up with an idea where he would be willing to make use of some of his private money for laid off workers or furloughed workers to get loans without having to pay interest. So people kind of step up to the plate all of the time. But since we're kind of late, I'm going to just we know it's been cold. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. As a matter of fact, I think this is the coldest period that we've experienced in 2 or 3 years. Or at least it's the coldest for me. But we also have a guest in the studio, and I want to get right to her. So I'm going to ask her if she would just go ahead and identify herself.
Sure.
Tell our viewers who you are and what you do and where you come from and
Great.
Where you're going and all those kind of
all
things.
That stuff.
And we'll get right into some serious conversation.
Sounds great. So I'm Suzanne Hambright. I'm the Assistant Director of the All of Us Research Program at UIC. The All of Us Research Program is part of a larger initiative, the Precision Medicine Initiative, that was started by President Obama in 2015. And its goal is to bring precision medicine to different aspects of healthcare. And by precision medicine, we're talking about taking into account our individual differences to tailor treatment and prevention to each and every one of us.
Well, that sounds like a real mouthful, but research is so vitally necessary and important if we are to find ways of being more effective in treating disease entities, if we are going to be able to prevent illnesses from occurring. And I must tell you that we just passed by the Mile Square Health Center, which is where I get my primary health care. Mm-hmm. And of course, I get all of my health care basically from the University of Illinois system. Yes. And I'm delighted that I just had the opportunity to re-enroll because my carrier is United Healthcare and they changed some things and all. Mm-hmm. But I've been associated with care at the University of Illinois now for a number of years. Mm-hmm. I'm also delighted that I was part of a group many years ago that discussed and talked about changing the focus of the University of Illinois. At one time, it was called Illinois Research.
Okay.
And if you didn't have a research issue or an issue that could be categorized or classified as research, then you basically did not go to the University of Illinois. Mm-hmm. That philosophy changed, mm-hmm. and the focus became not only research, but also community service, meaning that each and every kind of person could come to this tremendous institution and get care. And so I'm very pleased to have that kind of history with the University of Illinois. As a matter of fact, I often tell people that we have a health mecca. That is to say, that the congressional area that I represent has 24 hospitals in it,
Wow. Yeah.
4 medical schools, not to mention the number of federally qualified health centers, as well as other research institutes and entities, as well as the Illinois Medical District, where technology and technological advances are being looked at and worked on. So it's just a great place.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
The whole business, people are living longer. Not only are people living longer, but in many instances, the quality of life is also improving. I have been, in the last few months, to at least, last Sunday I was at a church, and Tim Black was the keynote speaker.
Okay.
Tim is 100 years old,
Oh, wow.
and he must have spoken for at least 25 or 30 minutes.
Oh, wow, that's
Just
wonderful.
an
Yeah.
interesting thing. And
Yeah.
of course, he has a new book
Oh, wow.
that he also
Yeah.
signing
Oh, my gosh.
and
Yeah.
passing out. Another fella died a few weeks ago, Reverend James Bass. He was 98 years old
Nice. Yeah.
and had been preaching for more than 90 years.
Oh, wow.
I
Yeah.
went to another person's funeral a few weeks before that, but last year I went to her birthday party. She was 100 years old.
Wow.
This year, of course, now it's another year,
Yeah.
but she was 101 when
Wow.
she died
Yes. Yeah.
and passed away. So tell us about this quality of life and the research and how all of this relates and
Yeah.
causes us to be having these kind of wonderful experiences.
Yeah, yeah. So what you're describing is really exactly what we're looking to get more information about. A lot of research is focused only on a specific disease state, right? Like I have heart issues, I'm going to be involved in this study on heart disease. But what's great about the All of Us research program is that we're an observational study. So we're not doing any intervention. We're not giving you any medication. It's just observing people in their normal life, their environment, their lifestyle, their habits. And then you can be either healthy or sick and be involved. And it's looking at your lifetime health with the goal of getting enough people involved that scientists will eventually see patterns emerging for why people are staying healthy. What is it about, this reverend who is able to be so vibrant and healthy this late in life? So we're really looking to expand the knowledge base so that we can, in the future, figure out how to prevent disease for people. And then if people unfortunately become afflicted with disease, different ways to personalize treatment for them.
Well, I always say that an ounce of prevention is worth much more than a pound of cure. And that is to say that if you can prevent something from happening, then of course you don't have to spend as much time trying to correct it.
Right.
And the person does not have to go through the trauma, the process, the pain, the agony, the frustration
Right.
of having to experience it. And yet you've been able. Of course, research does in fact cost money, M-O-N-E-Y, which means that we have to decide what quality of life that we really want. And at the same time, how much are we willing to pay for?
Right.
I remember one of my philosophical mentors used to say something like, one thing he knew if he didn't know anything else, he would say is, you may not get everything in this world that you pay for, but you most certainly will pay for everything that you get. And if you don't pay one way, you pay another way. And so if we're not willing to pay for the research, if we're not willing to put the money into the processes, then of course we pay with the pain, with the illness, with the frustration, and all of that. How are people kind of stacking up in terms of willing to pay? I mean, if you tell someone that, I think we can figure out a better way to do this, but you got to pay for it.
Yeah. Well, so this study is funded by the National Institutes of Health, and we've really been very grateful to have had bipartisan support in Congress for this program. It was initiated during Obama's time, but it has, maintained a lot of popularity, and people really see the benefit of having something like this, because it is the largest program of its type in the country to have ever been undertaken. So out of this, we'll really get a lot of rich data that can be used by scientists to, further discoveries in medicine.
I think it was indeed one of the major collaborative agreements that Congress was able to reach. I mean, 21st century cures.
Yeah, that's what it's part
and
of.
I've always wanted to be on energy and commerce. Illinois right now is in pretty good shape because we actually have 3 members on that committee.
Oh, yeah.
We have Congressman Bobby Rush,
Okay.
who is one of the senior members on that committee. He's probably the second most senior member,
Yeah.
next to the person who's the chairman, who's a guy named Frank Pallone.
Okay.
But also on that committee, of course, is Jan Schakowsky, who has not been there quite as long as Bobby, but who is also a senior member of Congress. And then we had Robin Kelly,
Okay.
who is chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus's Health Brain Trust. And Robin was just recently put on the committee.
Okay.
I would love to have been on that committee and would love to be on it. But we've got 3 Illinoisans
that's great.
already.
Yeah.
And we've had 2 for a long time, and so that's about all that from one state that you would expect to have on. But then the committee that I'm fortunate to serve on, which is the Committee on Ways and Means,
Okay.
which also has a great deal to do with the funding of what we do.
Okay.
I mean, because you got to generate the money,
Yeah.
and all of the tax matters originate in the House,
Okay.
and they also pretty much originate in the Committee on Ways and Means, because we have the responsibility to figure out how to pay for whatever it is that we're talking about.
Okay.
And if you don't have the money to pay for it, of course you can't do it. How engaged and how involved just can an average individual? I often remember saying it a number of times that there are a lot of things about health and medicine that I don't know, but I know when my corns hurt, and whether that's a little knowledge or a little
Right.
information or whether it's a lot. So how engaged can the average citizen, just a regular person, be involved in this kind of activity?
Yeah, so for this, you could participate in this program as one way to learn more about your health. One of the things that we're very focused on with this program is having participants as partners. So you're not just, donating your data to science. You're learning about yourself in the process as well. So any information you provide is given back to you, and any information that's discovered is also given back directly to you. So there's great benefits to your health that could come of that if you're able to act on anything that you find out about your health in the process. So that's one way to get engaged. And then I think also just taking advantage of educational opportunities about your health and what's out there. We continuously put information out through a portal that you get signed up to when you join, and you can get information from there on the latest findings, not necessarily only about the study, but in the field of medicine as well.
And it's not just beneficial to you, the individual, but then it becomes useful for the whole of society.
Right.
And other people now can reap the benefit of your engagement. I know that there are some groups, when we talk about clinical trials, that some people are reluctant. They don't want to be a part of it because they are afraid that they're going to be used as guinea pigs or some kind of way somebody might be taking advantage of
Right.
them. We've just had a wonderful, wonderful experience, and we'll be hearing more about it, but we've been working with an outfit called the Gift of Hope. And of course they deal with organ donations, and recently CMS agreed with an assertion that some of the scientists and physicians and researchers who work with them took, that we are not making as much use of some kidneys as we could. And they finally agreed that that was true. And so they changed the requirements, and now kidneys that were not being used for transplant
Okay.
a year ago,
Yeah.
some of those are now being used. The standards are not of the same quality as those that already were part of the system,
Okay.
but the ones that are now being used, they understand that people can make use of them for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So you may not last as long
Yeah. Right.
but then you didn't have enough to go around anyway.
Yeah,
I'm saying
yeah.
there are always
So now
people
you-
waiting,
Right. Yeah.
on lists and hoping
Yeah.
that you're going to be able
Get
to
to
get
that list.
to
Yeah.
them.
Right.
I know one person who has actually had 2 heart transplants
Oh wow.
and a kidney transplant.
Wow.
Works every day, does a great job, and to just think that this opportunity exists and that one can be ill and yet can have this kind of experience of regaining normal functioning and continue to live meaningful lives.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's huge. Yeah.
that is huge. I mean, that is it's almost like magic.
Right, yeah.
But I think it's perhaps something more than that. They always have Transplant Sunday
Oh, yeah.
at one of the churches that I look forward to attending, and the level of, I guess, spiritualism generally in the place that particular day
Yeah, right.
is unbelievable. So it seems to me that hope is what this research is orientated towards,
For
but
future.
based on knowledge and based on information,
Yeah.
based on understanding. And so it is a kind of magic, but it's as scientific as it is anything else.
Right, that's very true. Yeah, it's getting to know about yourself, but then also sharing information about yourself that for future generations could reap the benefits of having personalized treatments for them. And you bring up a good point with the hesitancy to participate in research, because there have been some great atrocities in the past with research. But they're very focused now to never have that happen again. We do have people represented from all backgrounds that participate on participant boards, and at every phase of the process, input is given on how the research should be conducted and handled and what information they would like to receive back. So we're all able to put our voices into the process of the research, which is wonderful.
And so all of these things that sometimes have been inhibitors or reasons that people have given, they really don't have to be reasons. I mean, they're every kind of ethical consideration, every kind of moral question, all of these things are kind of answered and dealt with before the ultimacy of consent
Yep. Yes.
is
Right.
given. And people go through, I tell you, I've had the experience of serving on one of those at some time ago. It wasn't at the U of I, it was at Rush, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it involves a tremendous amount of analysis, a lot of probing, a lot of searching, and all of that.
Because ultimately, you want to protect everyone that's involved in research. You don't want to have any openings for any problems. So
I know this has been kind of heavy for some of our regular callers and that kind of thing, but hey, you can go ahead and give us a call. You may have a question about research. You may have a question about how do we make sure that we have the kind of health. And please know that, government is very involved in all of this, because government is nothing more than a public way of making decisions about things. And that's what government really is. And government does not have to be as secretive as sometimes we think of these things as being. And so you can have as much engagement and as much involvement in it as you would like to. And of course, one of the ways that you do that is through participation in the process of electing people. I see where one of our elected person said earlier today that she was now in favor of recreational marijuana and laws that would determine a different kind of use. And of course, Amara gave us the opportunity to go a little bit longer because the weather is so bad, and because in all likelihood, whoever was following us may not be there and may be having a little bit of a challenge getting here. But we're kind of like the male people. We say rain, shine, sleet, or snow. The mail must go. And so we thought we'd come on out, notwithstanding the inclemency of the weather, and try and have this little conversation that we like to have every Friday. So if you got a question or you want to, chime in a little bit, we don't mind. And you can ask about some research and some other stuff and all of that kind of thing. So we're delighted, and maybe things are working because I see that our time is moving along. And let me ask if you just have a last comments or something.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe they did come.
Yeah, okay. That sounds great. Yeah, so to participate in the All of Us research program, you can go to joinallofus.org. Or you could participate here at UIC by calling us at 312-996-2778. And our goal here is really to, together develop treatments that are more individualized for each of us and taking into account all of our backgrounds and environment and biology.
Well, let me tell you, and if you gotta go, then you just have to go. But I recently had an experience where I went to the urgent care center and got serviced, and I want to thank all of those folks who were over in the hospital who just gave me the very best of attention, great care, and as a matter of fact, they treated me so well until I didn't want to leave. But I figured I better get out of there so somebody else could have the room, somebody else could have the bed, and somebody else could get the attention that I was getting. So it's been great being with you this afternoon, and thanks for viewing us, thanks for listening, and we'll hope to see you next week, and supposedly, just by chance, if it's a little bit warmer, we're not going to quibble with that at all.
Yeah.
Have a good one. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Yep, you too.
All right. Okay.